can take care of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Welcome to your weekly slice of mental health tips and tidbits with Pat and B, here on Mind Ed.
Sa'yo sumisilong kapag ang puso ko'y pagod.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Mind Ed, your weekly slice of mental health tips and tidbits. My name is Pat. B isn't with us today, but in the booth I am joined by our producer, Justin. Hey, Justin. Yeah, he says hi. Okay, today we are, well, I'm not flying solo. I mean, Justin's here with me, but yeah, it's kind of weird to do the whole kamustahan thing without a companion. So, ano ba? I just catch up on... Well, I wasn't here last week. I was at a school in Manila giving a talk about mental health. That's been a feature or a theme of this month, because this month, October, is National Mental... no, not even just national. It's Global Mental Health Awareness Month. Specifically, October... Was it 10? Yeah, I think it was October 10 that was... Mental Health Awareness Day. So lots of stuff happening around the country, between different orgs and different institutions around increasing the awareness and promoting mental wellness. So happy about that as a psychological professional. So it's been pretty busy past few weeks, because I am a mental health advocate and I've been going around giving all of these talks and workshops and seminars and such, and there's more to come. So if you guys feel like your organization or your institution or your group needs something along the lines of this, please do feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be glad to connect you with people who are willing to help spread awareness to your groups. Apart from that, personally, been okay. Been thankful for a lot of different things, lots of good things happening around the space of the personal life and such, but I'm not going to take liberties and share that. But yeah, yesterday was National, is it National, Justin? Yeah, National ADHD Awareness Day. So if you don't know what ADHD stands for, no, it's not what you use, or it's not the letters that you use to describe your very, very makulit nephew. ADHD means Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. We've invited some guests over today from the ADHD Society of the Philippines, but more on that later. So stick around. We'll take a quick, very, very, very quick recess, and when you get back, we will talk about ADHD and understand that a little bit more. See you guys after the break.
We'll be back in a few, Katipuneros, so please stay tuned.
Try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. And the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes goes to waste. Could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. And high up above or down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you'll never know just what you were. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. See a stream down your face. When you lose something you cannot replace. See a stream down your face. See a stream down your face. I promise you I'll never from your mistakes. See a stream down your face. Lights will guide.
He's a medical doctor. He's our producer. He's very handsome.
Your bones, and I will try
I've not.
to fix you.
Alright, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that song, one of our favorites here at Jescom and Radio Katipunan. As you can see from the live stream, na ba? Okay, as you can see from the live stream, we have our guest with us. We'd like to welcome Mr. Andrew Pe from the ADHD Society of the Philippines. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Good afternoon.
Okay, hi. Okay, so Well, in the on the show we like to start with a bit of like I wouldn't call it pleasantries, but this is also how I normally start my my therapy session. So
Okay.
generally just to make you feel a little bit more at ease. Actually, I don't know if this pressures you a bit more or
No,
this makes
sanay
you
na
feel
ako,
at
sanay.
ease. Okay.
Sanay na sanay.
What's been on your mind this past week or this past few weeks, and how have you been feeling lately?
Ooh, okay. Yun yung medyo what's on my mind. I think yung pinaka on my mind right now is this.
Sure, of course.
Here and now.
Yeah.
And it has been the ADHD Awareness Week. So a lot of the people in the society have been scrambling to do a lot of seminars.
Sure.
But I'm busy with my work.
Okay.
So, yung work ko is as a study coach. I think I'm getting ahead.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
It's kind of a mix between life coach and tutor. So, and especially a lot of my students that I deal with are those with ADHD.
Okay.
So, medyo I also have ADHD myself. So,
okay.
I get where they're coming from.
Okay. So we are combating stereotypes today, even with just your presence here.
Yeah.
Di pa tayo nagsasalita masyado, but thank you for openly sharing that. Not that it's something to be ashamed of at all. So that's great, and actually that's the natural segue into like the next question. Like, so tell us more about you. So what's your involvement with the ADHD Society of the Philippines?
Well, as I said, since I have ADHD myself, I've been an advocate for almost 19 years now.
Wow. Amazing.
Ever since the society started. And this is mostly because my mom pulled me in.
Okay.
Parang pa-cute factor na may batang kasama
Okay.
na mahilig din mag-report, mag-conference. So that was actually one of the first things that I did with the ADHD Society. I helped my mom spread awareness about the condition. So I was about 10 years old back then.
Wow. And your mom is, sorry.
Susana Gosalves Pe.
Okay.
She was the first president of the society.
Wow.
That then she stayed there just for a while as the president, and then it moved over to another person, si Marfina Teodoro.
Yeah.
But my mom continued the advocacy. So yun.
So the ADHD Society of the Philippines, as I understand it, is a non-profit organization whose one of your main missions is to promote the awareness and understanding of ADHD as a disorder. I actually personally don't like the word disorder, but sige.
Yeah, a lot of people would rather call it, say, a condition.
Yeah.
Most of the people that like to use the word disorder, they're the ones that are trying to get the point across that this is a serious condition that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But in terms for many of the parents and the advocates, they'd rather call it a condition because it's easier for them to handle with it. Some of them actually like to think of it as a gift or a blessing.
Okay. Yeah. In any case, it's something that is present in the lives of many people from across different, surprisingly, or might come as a surprise to a lot of different people, cuts across different age groups, different socioeconomic status.
Most of the time they think that this is a children's condition, but it actually continues until adulthood. And one of the things that the science groups, the doctors are dealing with is adult ADHD. Yeah. Especially with how our lives are nowadays, that there's like even ADHD-like symptoms, even with people that don't have ADHD.
Yung hindi naman like fully diagnosable of ADHD, but present with.
But like since everything is like online nowadays, everybody's just on their gadgets. everybody's starting to get ADHD, as they say.
Yeah, parang it's their attention, ano yan, yung attention spans nila are just like decreased, heavily decreased compared to generations before. Oh no, it's a lot to do with how much stimuli we have in in the environment that we live in. You know, advertisements everywhere on your phone. Everywhere. So, but I'm glad that you're here. So thank you for taking the time out to be here, and thank you for taking for the willingness to really share your story with us. So okay, so. What are some of the things that people don't normally understand? Well, okay, for one thing, and maybe we can do a tag team thing here. But for one thing, ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. So attention dash deficit slash hyperactivity disorder.
So one thing I'd like to bring up, and I think this is already going on the myths of ADHD, is that it's not that having ADHD is a lack of attention. And parents who have children that play video games a lot will also agree that they don't have a lack of attention. They're actually hyper focused
on one thing.
On that video game.
Yeah.
Now, according to Dr. Russell Barkley, ADHD is more about not being able to change your attention. It's like you might know that there's something else that you have to focus on, but you're like, nah, this is I like this more.
So it's not the whole shifting from one thing or another. That's not the primary characteristic of ADHD.
It's not being able to shift properly. Yeah. So it's like really. There's a term called executive functions, but we can go to that later on since it gets kind of
it does get kind of blurry. But so ADHD as defined by the DSM, or the Diagnostic of Statistical Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Illnesses. It's a mental I'll be politically sensitive here. It's a mental condition of the neurodevelopmental type. So that means it's something that develops over time neurochemically or within the brain.
Yes.
It is characterized by difficulty in paying attention, excessive activity, and acting without regards to consequences, which are otherwise not appropriate for a person's age. So there are 9 symptoms of ADHD. So one is actually 14. Hold on, let me bring that up. How about you go first?
So to add to that, just so that way we can have it in simpler terms, 3 things that people usually look for in ADHD are impulsiveness, which is the ability. It's when a person just acts without thought, or parang it's okay if you speak Filipino, right?
Yeah, of course.
unang gawin, walang isip, yan ang gagawin kagad. Then we have inattention, so not being able to focus on tasks or keep focused on tasks. And hyperactivity, which is probably the most seen, which is basically magulo. And then in terms of the symptoms, there are 2 types, or actually they call it 3 presentations. Okay. So the first presentation, before they used to call it types, now they call it presentation. The first presentation is the inattentive presentation.
Okay.
So do you have it up now, the different symptoms?
Well, the different I see on your pamphlet there are different checks here. So sa akin, there are 14 common signs of ADHD in children. So let me know if these are things that also coincide with yours. So one is self-focused behavior. So a common sign of ADHD is what looks like an inability to recognize other people's needs and desires. This can lead to next to 2 signs: interrupting and trouble waiting their turn. So these are more of things that you see in the behavior of the child. So do you have stuff here about having
what you described is under the other presentation, which is the hyperactivity and impulsiveness presentation.
So that includes behaviors like interrupting a person while they're speaking, not having trouble waiting for their turn, so the impatience also comes in there. A lot of what I see also in very unmanaged or mismanaged ADHD cases is yung emotional dysregulation.
Oh yeah. Even I'm gonna bring up Dr. Barkley a lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even Dr. Barkley he's a doctor in the US. He wants to bring back the emotional aspect of ADHD to the diagnostic criteria. It's something that's not really as present nowadays compared to back then. Back then, it was a big part of ADHD.
So currently, that's not something that my understanding is that currently it's not something that is looked at or paid a lot of attention to, the emotional aspect of
most of how we deal with ADHD nowadays has to do with the behavior, with how they perform in school or in the case of adult in the workplace.
Okay. Other things here include, well, you've mentioned lack of focus. You've also mentioned stuff about having trouble appropriately paying attention or switching attention between things. So we have here signs of like unfinished tasks, making careless mistakes. Potentially there's this like daydreaming aspect of it. Tama ba? Meron din ganun. And then also difficulty with getting organized, forgetfulness.
Parating nalilimutan yung mga bagay. Whether at home in school or in the car or somewhere else.
So these are things, and okay, for a lot of different people, these seem like signs that are common and maybe even potentially normal in some children.
It sounds very normal, right? Well, for most doctors, there has to be may mga, what would you say, conditions talaga. There's like, so one of these are that, so to differentiate between a normal person and ADHD person, usually the symptoms have to have been present before they were 12 years old.
Okay.
So as early before then, if kung nakita na na very prevalent yung symptoms, masasabing ano. And on top of that, it's not just if there's one or two of the symptoms. There's at least six. You need to have at least 6, and it has to be seen every day, especially if it's disruptive of the regular routine.
So this is where we get into the whole conversation about executive function, right? So it does come up, and I remember I would normally give mental health awareness talks, and part of it is talking about the history of psychiatric interventions. And one of the more barbaric psychological or psychiatric interventions that was done before was lobotomy. And one of the stories that I would normally tell of the youngest person who was ever given a lobotomy, he was 12 years old, because he was presenting with signs such as bad conduct, in the sense that he has problem with authority, doing as he's told, more or less, hyperactivity, ganyan. So yung solution ng stepmom nung batang to is to give him a lobotomy. It led to severe brain damage, and the truth is those weren't psychological disorders. Those were just like normal behaviors of a 12-year-old boy. So, pero yun nga, if it gets to a point, and this is a feature of a lot of different conditions in the DSM, is that it's supposed to cause significant impairment in their daily functioning. Meaning,
yung term na yan, yung significant impairment. Kasi for a lot of times, especially when it comes to ADHD, kung makulit lang yung isang bata, parang ayaw na ng most parents or other people na ang kulit ng person na ito. Parang wag natin let's not demonize being makulit. Let's find a way to put it in a constructive
There are lots of people kasi, lots of parents I think who really jump the gun at the first sign of any like dysregulated behavior or pagiging makulit, and they kind of like quickly go into like, oh baka may ADHD anak ko, let's give them Adderall, let's give them Ritalin, ganyan. Pero hindi naman necessary, because the truth is that's how kids learn, right? Kids learn with their hands. They are kinetic learners at the very beginning of their life, and it's only when they start to learn, when they start to make connections or associations between like verbal stuff and things from the outside that they kind of like tend to sit down. But even then, they want to move. So I think that's the key thing here. It's about,
like, I hate to say on top of that, for example, ADHD is full of comorbidities. So the listeners know comorbidities are other conditions that might be present alongside ADHD, not necessarily because ADHD is there. And one of those comorbidities can be speech problems, speech and auditory. So if we're talking about kinematic, I don't think there's a kinematic learning disability per se. But for example, I said speech problems. Me and my sister had a speech problem when we were younger. So we needed to have speech therapy. Otherwise we wouldn't be understood. Or we couldn't hear things properly. So I mean, kinematic, that's where we start learning first. When it comes to auditory, understanding language, it really it comes in a little later, and even in some cases delayed, especially with ADHD or comorbid ADHD with other
I think a lot of the misunderstanding of ADHD also comes from the fixation or the obsession of how the school system is supposed to be. Na parang everybody should be reading, everybody should be doing maths, etc.
Parang may idea na this is a normal child. And everybody's like always going for what's normal. I want to share a story that my mom said na, because my mom, she claims na siya rin may ADHD. And when she was in school, she was always called weird by her classmates. But she said, that's fine. I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Kasi I'd rather be weird than And medyo nasunod ako. Like, I liked how my mom brought that up. Now, it's actually nice to be not normal all the time. Or it's okay to be weird. Yun na lang.
I mean, kasi it's there's some sense of like discipline when you conform, but at the same time, there's that beauty when when you find what it is that you're unique about it.
I'd say to conform, that means there has to be a regular, diba?
Right.
Pero what about for the situations when you don't have a regular? For example, sinasabi nila si Thomas Edison daw, he didn't like how things were back then, so he decided that he wanted to make an electric light bulb. And he spent what? There's no discipline to that. How an electric light bulb didn't necessarily exist back then, so he had to come up with things on his own, and he just had to be crazy about doing the same experiment over 100, 1,000 times before he found the correct light bulb to use.
That's right.
And they say that he's one of the people that may have had ADHD before. Sobrang
like, and I guess parang one of the where I'm coming from with regard to the whole like keeping kids in school and sitting them down and making them read is that's actually not a very common way of doing school, especially in for toddlers. Like for example, in places like Australia, their daycare system or their preschool system is full of play.
Yeah.
Like they don't get them. They're not all. They're not in a rush to get them to speak. They're not in a rush to get them to. They're just allowing them to explore and allow them to like learn at their own pace and pick up the things that they want to pick up, because it's also a survival thing. Like if the human system or the human mechanism is a desire to survive, and it will take on the skills that are necessary to get the person, the human being, to survive, and that includes speech too. So maraming like politicized whatever thing is there. So
parang the way that things should be.
Yeah.
Well, I actually went through different schooling systems naman. Like, for example, yung Montessori.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about what was on the textbook. It's about how you can organize what you're learning. So there's all of these things to mess around with. It's almost like playing with toys.
Yeah.
And then later on, like in high school, I had a very focused kind of workbook. So it was individualized. So I could go through my study on my own time.
Yeah.
And maganda, like when there was a subject that I like, I could go through it fast. But if it was a difficult topic, medyo nahihirapan na, and I would need help for that.
Yeah.
So, maganda talaga na if we think about not just making the students conform to the education system, but providing an education system that can adapt to the kind of student that,
and accommodates them.
That can accommodate.
What are some of the best ways to manage ADHD when it's been properly and responsibly diagnosed?
Sige. I think doctors will tell many different kinds of therapy. They'll bring up medication. They'll bring up like occupational therapy, physical therapy, those kinds of But I think one of the most important things that everyone can do is communicate.
Right.
So parents, doctors, and teachers, they should all get in line, and they should not get in line, but come together and ask like, okay, what can we do to help the child? What works? What doesn't work? So one thing here with ADHD is that one of the primary treatments is medication.
Right.
And medication doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So to give you an example, so not just me, but my two other siblings also have ADHD. And masaya because all of us have the three different presentations. My brother is hyperactive, impulsive. My sister is the inattentive. And then I'm the mixed.
Okay.
So lahat na nasa akin. So kaya-kaya ko magsabi. And so going on medication, the medication didn't work with my sister because she didn't really need it as much. What she just needed was to be able to really focus on the work, and they give her time to do it. My brother, the medication worked the most effectively with him. He didn't like it because nawawala ng appetite.
Right.
So, minsan side effect yan.
Yeah.
But in terms of getting him to focus on his studies, focus na focus.
Yeah.
Yung sa akin, medyo mix. So, it worked, but then I felt irritable.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it was okay for me to take it, but then I learned how to not use it as much. Parang kapag medyo dire na lang.
Yeah. So my takeaway from that is that it's a whole system thing. Like it's not just meds.
Yeah.
But meds do help. So from my understanding and from my own experience of working with different patients with ADHD, the medication really what it's most helpful for is just to get the person to get back to some access to, at the very least, normal daily functioning.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, and this is a feature of many different conditions also, like different medicated conditions. The medications don't teach you what to do.
Yeah.
It just gives you access to some form of functioning that you can tap into, but you still have to learn. So, but there are lots of different things too. So things like lifestyle choices or lifestyle changes. So proper diet, proper sleep hygiene for sure, socialization. Also occupational therapy you're mentioning, so teaching especially younger ones proper social skills, etc., etc.
And like, I guess when it comes to these kinds of conditions, there's kind of a stigma na we have to keep them away from other kids, and I disagree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, you should more
expose.
Yeah, you should expose them more. You should let them actually be with other kids more, so that way they actually learn how other kids are. And I guess in the terms of interrupting or medyo disruptive, they're not going to learn how to deal with that if you keep them away from other people. You have to expose them and let them slowly, surely
pick that up then.
Difficult because paano ba masasabi ko, I'm 29 years old. Sometimes I'm still sometimes I interrupt, sometimes I speak louder than I realize, but I mean, we all have something that we can't really see from ourselves. So we won't be able to see that if we're just on our own.
But just taking you as an example, people can see that there are well, to me, unsurprisingly, but there are positive outcomes even with diagnosed conditions like ADHD. You are a fully functional adult. I would, from where I'm sitting.
Fully functional. Yung definition ng functions, let's not go into it.
It's blurry. But yeah, I mean, like, you have a career. It's not like you're completely dysregulated for the rest of it. Kasi diba, yun yung misconception ng mga tao na parang...
Or the idea that you have to send them off to, say, like yung mga mental hospitals or to mga community centers na sila nang bahala because we don't parang hindi there's so many, to use the word disability, there's so many persons with disability that or they want to go out there into the workplace, they want to go out there in society, and they want to show that, hey, I can be a regular person just like anyone else.
And they are.
And some of them, they don't want any special treatment. Maybe like, say, just like if you can't reach the shelf, help me understand this a little bit better since I can't understand. But aside from that, to bring up other, well, no, let's just focus on ADHD. For example, sinasabi nila si Michael Phelps, he's a swimmer. Everybody knows that he has ADHD. He kind of attributes it na since makulit siya, it really got him to swim faster, ganyan. But it was a way for him to manage his ADHD, the swimming, and it eventually led him to be an Olympic athlete.
So there are things, there are some very, very helpful things that really engage a person's attention that can be very helpful in in cases like this. For different people, it's music. Playing a musical instrument can be very helpful. Listening to music, even some people, it's with some regulation, video games. Other people, it's sports. So yeah, definitely.
Sports.
Like
and that's the thing with ADHD. So we were talking about treatments earlier, and there's no one treatment fits all. It's you really have to find out. So in the way that some people like music, some people like video games, some people like sports, it's the same thing with ADHD. There are some people with ADHD that love academics,
studying. Wow.
Yeah, they really love studying to the point that say they can't even socialize. Kasi masyadong focus sa there are situations na ganyan.
Yeah.
There are some situations as well na masyadong focus sa isang subject lang. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sa isang subject lang, pero the other subjects medyo hindi like sasabihin, bakit yung math or yung English taas,
Yeah.
pero yung ibang subjects ang baba.
Yeah.
Kasi para sasabihin ng bata, I only like that subject.
Yeah. So it's really about getting them to see and understand the purpose and kind of getting them. So it's also a motivational thing.
Yeah,
right.
Partially.
Yeah.
And what helps is being able to find the way to build interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Medyo mahirap yan.
Yeah.
But
Matrabaho, but it's worth it. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything like a message that you want people to know about either ADHD or living with ADHD, that is like, if there was like the one crucial thing that everybody must know about it, what would that be?
I want to go back to earlier about na sinasabi ko na may ADHD-like symptoms. And sasabihin, a lot of people like to say that ADHD doesn't really exist, or it's just an attention problem. Anyone can deal with an attention problem. So an example that doctors like to bring up is the difference between an ADHD person and a regular person is, if you take regular person away from this busy modern life, take them to a nice quiet farm.
Yeah.
They're going to relax.
Right.
They're not going to have any distractions.
Yeah.
They're going to feel fine. You take an ADHD person to a farm, they're going to turn that farm upside down.
Okay.
They're going to find, with the lack of a stimulus, they're going to find the stimulus.
Yeah.
They're going to. And I think that's the thing. It's easy to misunderstand ADHD, or to just say, well, you can take care of it yourself, or parang handle it yourself. And I'd say we have to put in a little more understanding, a little more patience for this.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say for like the children or the adults that have ADHD, sometimes they don't even have patience for themselves.
Yeah.
And it really helps if there can be somebody that can be patient there for them, or that can show them how to be patient.
Right. Thank you. So you heard it here, folks. It's mostly, I mean, apart from all of the treatments, it's really a culture of understanding, support, and patience. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being here. Okay, so again, this week is National ADHD Awareness Week.
Yes. Is it okay if I plug it?
Sure, yes, please.
So, the ADHD Society also has several more events coming up this week. Specifically, we have some free awareness seminars.
Yeah.
Tomorrow from 8 to 12 at the Rosa Hall in Caloocan High School. So that's in Caloocan City. Then on October 22 in the Parañaque City Hall. And in October 26 at Mandaluyong City Hall.
Wow.
We also hold regular support groups. You can find out more about the ADHD Society of the Philippines at adhdsocphils.org.
Yeah.
And we're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
So feel free to give us a message.
So the ADHD Society of the Philippines is tagged in this post, and we will share the website also on our video. So thank you for that. Also an announcement from JESCOM. So Jesuit Communications and Xavier School invite you to the events with international liturgical music composer David Haas on November 9, Saturday at Xavier School, San Juan. There will be a liturgical music workshop for choirs, church musicians, and chorale directors from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. A concert featuring the music of David Haas and the Jesuit Music Ministry with performances from Bukas Palad, Ateneo Chamber Singers, Hangad Himigesuita, Mary the Queen Choir, Pansol Choir, Tinig Barangka, and Father Manuling Francisco at 5 p.m. Tickets are available at Tanging Yaman in Mega Mall and Ateneo de Manila. You can also get your tickets online at www.jescom.ph. Okay. Well, that's it from us. Thank you again, Andrew, for being here.
Thank you, Patrick.
This is Mind Ed, your weekly slice of mental health tips and tidbits. My name is Pat, and with me in the booth is Justin and Andrew. Thanks, and see you guys soon.
Let us understand mental health and explore how we can take care of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Welcome to your weekly slice of mental health tips and tidbits with Pat and B. Here on Mind Ed.
Sa'yo sumisilong kapag ang puso ko'y pagod.
3 o'clock prayer. You died, Jesus, but the source of life flowed out for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fountain